What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 60 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Malekith and Naggarond Inc. campaign. So as we saw last time, the end game is finally here, the campaign is nearly done, and we have 25 armies to go, and counting, until it's over. Athaloran is in absolute shambles with the sheer amount of armies that the Wood Elves have gotten there, and it seems like they're mostly concentrated in the Talsyn faction, and less armies in the others, but that's just fine, and I guess appropriate to some degree, as Talsyn is supposed to own the Oak of Ages, so, yeah. Anyway, we're going to begin today by starting off on the outskirts. We'll leave Athaloran to last, I think, because it's the most complicated of the, dealings with the Wood Elves, and we're going to, I think, start with the Sisters of Twilight up here. The reason for that is I've wanted to try out both of these armies, the Flying Army and the All-Executioner Army, for quite a while now. These guys have been just sitting there patiently or impatiently waiting, as in just sacrificing things all day, until they get to play. So, finally, they get to play. Let's get to it. Killian Cainmark, you're going to start against Tolterin here, and then we'll have the other two attack Otrolio. Looks like a Pyrrhic victory, but honestly, we don't care about casualties anymore, because once these guys are dead, these armies will never fight again, so we're perfectly fine. We're gonna give the blood banner to Killian Cainmark, because I love the name Killian, and for a Dark Elf, it just seems so appropriate. And I know it's a real name, but still, nonetheless seems very appropriate. There's also another name that I found really funny, but I can't remember what it is. I'm totally blanking on it right now. I think it was Helenor, like Eleanor, but Helenor. It's dumb, but great. One of the Death Hags should be on a... Okay, it's you. You're on your Blood Cauldron, whereas the other one is not. So there we go. We're going to charge the enemy directly with all these Executioners and see how they fare. They obviously wouldn't be able to chase down the enemy Way Watchers, so that's where the concern will come in. Now let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. Looks like Killian Cainmark will be getting the honor of the first bout against the endgame scenario factions. And ooh, I like this choke point battle. Really frozen over Dark Elf Bridge. Even the bridges have to be completely necessarily spiky. Now, the choke point battle itself is... hard to say. Potentially disadvantageous to us. If the enemy had more range units, I would say it would be heavily disadvantageous, but in this particular situation, I think that they don't have enough. On the other hand, they can fill the gaps of this narrow choke point with these units of Treekin, who are just so difficult to bring down. They take so long to rip apart, so they can hold even the Executioners for quite a while. Plus, as we approach the enemy, we will be taking lots and lots of hits. No units lost really yet, but the damage is starting to add up, both here and a little bit on the first unit over on this side. We are about to charge, however, and that's where we will shine. As soon as we get there, of course. And yeah, these guys are really starting to take a beating now, though Killian is with them, getting ready for some Killianing, some killing. Close enough. Alrighty, and the Treekin roll on in, and Killian starts whacking away at them with her sword. I do like the sword and shield combo on Dreadlords, since we don't have a lot of these types. It's a nice little shield. Alrighty, and here come the Executioners, a Rubric of Dark Dimensions coming down, or is that a Pit of Shades, rather, coming down on the enemy pile of units, and at least we'll rip apart an enemy unit of range in that way. We also sacrifice our slaves and immediately activate Murderous Mastery, and I do mean Mastery, as almost our entire army is made up of Executioners, so they're gonna start hitting real hard. And Murderous Mastery is combined with the Blood Friend frenzy that they have as well. They got 100 armor, which is actually down from considerably more. 133 weapon strength. It's pretty nasty, and 136 melee attack. It's all very nasty, and at the very least, the enemy infantry stand no chance against the executioners. Let's see how long they can stay in combat like this. We also have the Bloodrack Medusa Shrine supporting us, doing a little bit of damage on top of providing even more buffs towards our executioners and getting some nice air on the enemy high elves. How are we doing over on this side? Certainly have taken a little bit of damage. The enemy range units are trying to focus down our Bloodrack Shrines, and Killian is dueling the enemy Lord Toltiran right in the middle of this. There she is. Alrighty, but the enemy lord is also looking to get surrounded by our executioners, and that's just not a place you wanna be, considering how buffed these guys are. And they could get more buffed if we ever were to level Killian up, as in if we were to acquire more levels for her, but it looks like that's not going to happen before the campaign ends. Ooh, even more hits coming in onto our Bloodrack Shrines, which is a little bit of an issue, and unfortunately it won't be an issue for too much longer, as the enemy army is starting to get destroyed. Still a few Way Watchers to take care of, but our executioners are on it, and they will begin chasing down the enemy as well. Our executioners are actually not so bad in terms of their speed. 47. They're actually as fast or faster than the enemy basic units, at least while they have the buffs around them, so that ain't too bad. Enemy Lord is booking it, and Killian will try to run him down while we kill off the rest of the enemy archers and whatnot. And there we go, Way Watchers ripped apart here by the executioners, and some Wild Riders, or Glade Riders I should say, are to follow suit next. For Cain and for Cain marked, I guess. Oh, love watching those railgun shots from Medusa in the background. There's our master waiting in as well to lead the executioners, especially since Killian was busy with the Treekin and the enemy lord. Another Pit of Shades coming down just to make sure that we kill off those units of Glade Riders a teensy bit faster, and with that, the enemy army will rout and shatter. Perfection. Absolute perfection. Certainly we did take some damage, but what kind of Cainite army would we be if we got away from this entirely unscathed? Looks like the enemy lord is still booking it on out of there. Come on, Killian, you should bring him down, as otherwise we will have to auto-resolve, and ooh, there we go. Come on, deliver one blow, and down he goes. Lovely. A bit of a bloodless kill, but, well, it looks like Killian is plenty bloody already and was happy with that particular battle. Alright, and so, Sir Cold One, you get pets. You get pets because I'll never get to pet you again, which is sad, but oh well, what can you do? Anyway, there we go, just gonna speed it up while we chase down the rest of the enemy units. A Pyrrhic victory due to the damage dealt out to our executioners, but considering this army doesn't need to fight again, we will be just fine. Ooh, alrighty, definitely have to be careful with those choke point battles, as that particular aspect of it certainly did not work in our favor, but at the end of the day we still managed to pull it off. The executioners executionated, as they like to do. I also want to point out that the Bloodrack Shrines were roughly matching the executioners in terms of damage, or at least the higher performing Blood Shrines and the higher performing executioners, which I'm actually very impressed with. I didn't actually expect them to do as much damage considering they were, or their support units that also buff everybody up, so well done to you guys. I'm gonna heal up a little bit because we need to chase down the remnants of these forces, but I'm glad the Executioner army and did their thing, though they just really function as a bigger version of the Executioners and income from trade. Oh, we don't really care about that anymore. In Crone Hellebrand's army. Anyway, take out Israstad here. And auto-resolve it. Good, auto-resolve won't screw us this time around. Lovely, and who did hurt the Bloodrack Shrine, though. Not that it should matter in theory. Now, you can no longer move. Can you move back into the Witchwood? Oh, you actually heal fairly well here. So, wait, if you go into raiding stance, you'll heal even more. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then just stay near the Witchwood itself. I was originally going to trade it to the Ancestral Throng, but I guess it's no longer necessary. Now, you guys, it's time for you to play as well. You're going to go into Druchii First Strike, and I guess you're going to go into Druchii First Strike as well, though maybe we'll wait for the reinforcements to arrive so that we can just darken the skies with harpies, sending wave after wave of harpies at them and not really caring about the casualties. Certainly a thought to be had, which is unusual for me. Alrighty, anyway, Furion Beastbinder, time for round 2. Get to the attack, and it looks like the enemy can't move in the first round, which is just lovely. We are going to get the Sea Serpent standard, I guess, on the Furion Beastbinder. Weirdly, he does not seem to have Frenzy himself. I don't understand why, considering he's on a Manticore, and I think Manticores generally are supposed to have No, actually, maybe Feral Manticores don't have Frenzy? Wait, but why would the Feral Manticore specifically not have Frenzy? It seems like something a Manticore would have, doesn't it? But oh well, not a big deal. Sorceress of Dark, you're going to be our anti-air, though there is no air for you to fight here, so whatever. And then the Gleaming Pennant will put on one of the dragons. Perfection, here we go, all Air Force, all the time, attack. Alrighty, well, you only have one order, and that order is take flight, which I guess you're already doing. Fantastic. I am excited to see how this particular army performs in combat, though we will actually lead the assault with a pile of Furies, or Harpies rather, from our secondary force, and we're going to just charge them directly at the enemy. Now, optimally, what we should do is just surround the enemy and hit them from all sides, or at the very least separate the supporting army of Harpies to attack them from here like this, and from here like this, but I don't think we're going to bother with it. I'd rather a few Harpies get knocked out of the sky and make the battle look better by virtue of heading towards them, because we don't need to fight this battle a second time, in the sense that this army will probably not be fighting again, unless I'm missing something. Also, this is probably the only battle wherein we will be able to make use of two armies at once against a single enemy stack, as in we don't have a lot of space where we have otherwise outnumbered the enemy, so we may as well enjoy this and not care about the little follower army of flyers. Anyway, here we go. Phoenixes, Manticores, Dragons, and Harpies are going to start off. A few of them will get knocked out of the air as the Glade Guard target them directly, but they'll scream, they'll get angry, and they'll drop down and start ripping into all those range units, and melee units as well, though obviously it is the Glade Guard that are the main focus. And this is certainly not a place they want to be. It's lucky, I guess, that we are not facing off against the Skaven, as a follower force like this would just get Howling Warp Gale on them, and then proceed to have a very bad day, as it is completely stuck there. Anyway, Manticores and Phoenixes, I've essentially paired them off so that there's a Manticore and a Phoenix working together, and the Manticores provide their aura bolstering the Phoenix's defenses, and the two can work together, both mincing infantry and going after single entities, though in this particular army's case, it's mostly just mincing enemy infantry, as there aren't a lot of single targets. Speaking of mincing, the enemy army is pretty much done for. All of their units are surrounded, their range can get no purchase, or rather, they cannot fire a single arrow into the sky anymore, and are forced to bleed by the Fury's bleed effect as well, so they're quite good against basic infantry or unarmored infantry, or, well, really any infantry. Well, maybe not Chaos Infantry, but that's more so by the fact that they would be killed by Chaos Infantry instead. Anyway, I do believe we're pretty much good, and damn, the Harpies actually hit really hard. 71 weapon strength. That is nothing to sneeze at for a basic unit like this. 50 base weapon damage and 17 respectable armor piercing, so maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they could take Chaos Warriors, certainly if they were to surround them and hit them from both sides. Anyway, a quick battle, but we very much expected it to be a quick one. Simply overrun, or overfly, I don't know what to call it for flying units, simply do that to the enemy army, and the battle is ours, and didn't even really need the the main army with its more elite units, funnily enough, as the Harpies didn't take nearly as much damage as I was kind of expecting them to. Anyway, we'll speed up through this as we chase them down, and then, well, we've got plenty more battles where this one came from. Though, of course, not for this army, as that should be the end for the Sisters of Twilight. Alrighty, there we go. Certainly not the optimal way to do it, just directly charging all the Harpies at the enemy units while they get arrowed up and certainly hurt by virtue of that, but it looked cool, and that's what we were after here, and it certainly worked out. Well done to the Flyers. They probably could have taken two armies without too much trouble. I even think that maybe Galroth's reinforcing army might have been able to win this if we had deployed it properly instead of just directly charging the enemy, but it was all the name of a cool shot. We're going to enslave, I guess, not that we really need it, and then we should be able to destroy these Sisters of Twilight for good. Well done, Furion Beastbinder and your Flyers. Alright, and auto-resolve this. Nobody will die, so auto-resolve won't screw us, and the Sisters of Twilight will be destroyed. Or the Heralds of Ariel, whatever, same thing. Alrighty. All of you just to raid the place, which is gonna be unhappy about all this, even with the bonuses that we get, but it's only for a turn or so. Though, there won't be too many more turns anyway in the campaign. Now, and the Sisters of Twilight have gone. We still have Lorelorn, and we still have the Bowmen of Orion. I did want Rikarth to try to go after these guys, and oh, same with Erdithane Gatesmiter. I'm almost tempted to wait. We can't move Marathi away. Damn, that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, Rikarth got lots of playtime through the campaign, but Erdithane never got the chance to, so I think we're going to actually have Erdithane do it. And, well, maybe if we can get Rikarth in as a reinforcement, I'd be willing. Let's do this. I'd love to send Jaden and Marathi against Othiodi back there, so that they have at least one final battle to their name as well. Alright, Rikarth, you're in good position. Erdithane, I've been waiting to try out your Medusa and Reaper Bolt Thrower army. It's a bit of an odd one. We will obviously not need to send in this many armies. We'll just use Erdithane, by and large, to fight this. Here we go. Wait. Erdithane, Rampager standard on you yourself. Enjoy. Alrighty, here we go. Though how this particular battle is going to turn out, I have no clue at all. We really shouldn't be using this army like this, at all. This army was meant to be a support army, or at the very least an anti-blobby horde army. They have no melee line, and Medusa are quite fragile and vulnerable to missile fire. I've certainly killed off many a Medusa in various other campaigns that have been running recently by focusing them down in range, and they drop extremely quickly, so this is going to be dangerous. And oh, look at them book it on forward. Well, I guess they have to, because another issue with the Medusa is that they can activate Rampage from ranged attacks, which means they just wade into melee without being ordered, and that ain't great. Their melee defense is only at 46, which is their HP is middling for a monster unit, though they do have some decent resistances at the very least. We'll see how they do. Obviously, this is also our army with our Reaper Bolt Throwers, our best Reaper Bolt Throwers, but they've been firing, all of them, or at least 3 of them have been firing at this Forest Dragon for quite a while, nearly a full minute now, and have barely done anything. 272, I want to see how much damage a single hit from a Bolt Thrower does. Oh, that's too many firing at the same time, but well, I guess we'll see how many. 272, alright, there we go. Dropping a little bit, but it's going to take them forever to do anything that way against a single entity. But, well, what can you do? Not a big deal. We'll just have to leave them to it. They are, after all, no Hellblaster volley gun who is good at everything. And I still like them better than cannons, so, you know. Although that's probably more an indictment of cannons than it is the support of the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Anyway, the Medusae are working together. Nice little mob of them, both between the... Oh, there's a Death Hag there as well. Between the regular Medusae and the Bloodrack Shrines, although they are starting to take hits in a lot of places. This one is down to about a third of its HP. This one's down to half, and the Rampage is really quite problematic because we can't really get them out of combat when they're rampaging, and they will drop very, very low. Of course, we do have reinforcements coming in, both Marathi as well as another army, but we're not using them here, and we have no need to do so. This is Uldrathane's show, and he will live or he will die, though I will make one exception. If Rakarth can't reach another army, he's going to actually fight here. Maybe he can find something to duel a tree man, that dragon perhaps, if I can find it. Or maybe just the tree man. I don't know if the dragon is still alive. Alright, you get to it, Rakarth. And find something to kill, would ya? Alright, maybe start off on some enemy treemen. Ah, there's the dragon. It looks like it did finally get knocked out of the sky by our Reaper Bolt Throwers. Many a Bolt Thrower was throwing at the dragon, all 6 of them at the same time for a while there. And it's nice to get Rakarth on the action a little bit. Murderous Prowess is going to activate for him as well, though it's probably going to take even him a significant amount of time to bring down the treemen. Otherwise, the battle is still relatively close, at least over on this side of the map. The balance of power doesn't show it, because we have other units on the field that we're not using, Rakarth's reinforcements and all of Marathi's, but obviously our units here are starting to get damage. Now, this Bloodrack Medusa is nearly on death's door, or is basically on death's door, and this Death Hag is nearly done for as well, and several of the Medusae are in pretty bad shape, so it's gonna get close. Ooh, I didn't know that they could fire their railgun point blank like it just did at the tree man. Pretty happy with that, though. I want to see that again. Yeah, there we go. I didn't know that they did that. I thought that you would, you know, poke the tree man with that big old glaive you got going. Alright, well, keep it up, Bloodrack Shrine, and try to survive it. It also looks like Rakarth is getting hit by a few arrows, though we did move a Bloodrack Shrine in to help him, and Uldrathane has even moved in as well, though I don't expect him to add much into the fray. It's a Rakarth show over on this side of the map, where he is surrounded by all those Eternal Guard, and he is ripping them apart with decent amounts of gusto. We are lucky in one regard in this particular battle, in that the enemy did not really go after our Reaper Bolt Throwers, and oh, look at that Medusa. Did not really go after our Reaper Bolt Throwers, and just more or less left them to their own devices, though frankly they still didn't manage to rack up all that much in the way of kills or damage. I do believe one of the Medusae have died at this point. Yeah, there we go, there's a Bloodrack Shrine right there. Hardly surprising. Once again, they are support, or supposed to be. But it's also fun. I think one of the most fun aspects of the end game scenarios, or just the end game in general, is not caring about casualties anymore. At the point where you can just let your units fight to the death. And I love watching my own units fight to the death just as much as the enemies. And it's always unfortunate you have to be so careful with your units, generally speaking. A lovely change of pace. Anyway, Rakarth is getting to face off against the enemy tree man here, who is actually wavering at this point. Rakarth does have a fairly decent advantage here. He's also being supported by the Reaper Bolt Throwers, who are not firing at the tree man, but rather at the enemy Way Watchers that were nearby. Alrighty, and Tree Man activates a little something, and is apparently still alive, though by the looks of it not for much longer. I think another Medusa has at this point dropped, which has allowed these guys to move southward. I have also forced the Doomfire Warlocks from Marathi's army to not engage. They're just chasing off enemies that are already shattered, so that they are actually fully destroyed by the time the battle is over, so we don't have to deal with them again. Looks like Rakarth has nearly taken care of the enemy's treemen. I think it's possible that with the treeman's destruction, the enemy army will shatter. Alright, come on, get a couple more hits in there. I still see the enemy units moving around at least a little bit, but it looks like they are beginning to turn, and I think the chain route is there. Just want to see the death animation on the tree man after Rakarth gets through with it. There we go. Alrighty, beautiful work, Rakarth. Let's see how much damage you output this time around. 18k, very respectable. I think he outdid everybody else in the army despite arriving much later, interestingly enough. Well, the Reaper Bolt Throwers are still throwing their bolts, and with all the buffs that these ones have to reload, they do fire quite fast. Alright, though they would be much better used against a different faction than Wood Elves. The problem obviously being that A, they can't see some units, B, that there's not a lot of Horde and light infantry that they would be great against. Like if we were facing off against a Skaven Horde or an Orc Horde or an Undead Horde, it would be much better or easier for this army to rack up a massive amount of kills. Anyway, speed up the rest of this, chase them down, and the battle is ours. Medusa, do your best to take revenge for your fallen sisters, like this Bloodrack Shrine, and I know I saw another one die somewhere. Or was it the one that I saw just get very badly hurt? I'm pretty sure another one died. Ah, there it is. There it is. Too bad I missed the death animation, but, well, there was a lot of places to look. Anyway, a decisive victory for us nonetheless, despite the damage. Well done, Uldrethrain, for actually surviving and using your army in a way that it's not supposed to be used. Ooh, alrighty. Well, Uldrethrain certainly did struggle in this particular fight. I'm a little bit disappointed with the Reaper Bolt Throwers, mostly because this is as buffed as they're liable to get. They have the full suite of buffs other than the rank 7 buffs, but Uldrethrain has his, I forget what it's called, the Gate Smiter buff for them, so it's as strong as they're liable to get. Obviously, we didn't use the other armies because this army ran the show, and it certainly got damage, and in fact, did lose a couple of units. Although once again, to be fair, this was created as a support army, which is why the Medusa don't have a melee infantry line. These guys were supposed to follow Rakarth and then blast enemies as they surrounded his blob of monsters. Don't use your support army as a mainline infantry army, folks. Although, if it wasn't the Wood Elves, I do feel like this army would have done better, like if it was a horde of orcs or undead, or something that the enemy didn't outrange us and could just kill the Medusa from a distance, it probably would have worked a little bit better. But the Medusa aren't strong enough in melee to fight by themselves without melee support, and they're not strong enough in range to have a shootout with a unit like this, so it's okay. They are support monsters after all. But anyway, we are going to, I guess, enslave. You're done for now, Uldrethrain Gatesmiter, or forever, I guess, as we no longer need support for anything. We're going to have somebody hopefully kill off Sistishal here, but Marathi can go ahead and kill Othioti. Oh. Wait, okay, game, okay. Hey, Jaden got a black dragon out of that, even though she did nothing. Speaking of Jaden, now we could move her in as a... Oh, we can't actually move her in as a reinforcement. Somebody's blocking her. I'm a little bit... Oh, no, Marathi can't reach Othioti from here? Oh, that's a little bit disappointing. Alright, Jaden, you're gonna go here and you're going to ambush Sistishal here. Like so, and maybe with Sistishal out of the way, Marathi can move in. I mean, Jaden has fought a bunch of times, but I suppose so has Marathi. I just want to make sure that we can maybe kill off this faction in a single round. Are you now able to move? Not here. Marathi, yes. Okay, Marathi can at least catch him. Sorry, Jaden. I guess you can fly in as a reinforcement to Marathi in March stance. Yeah, that's the only way to do it. All right, March stance it is then. And just so that you have a final fight for you as well. And do we need to do anything with anybody here? I don't think so, as in well, I guess we could go get the Way of the Poison Sword. I did most of the skill point assigning previously, so it doesn't really matter, but, you know, here we are. Let's see, you... I don't know what you lack. We are the elite? Nah. Pain compliance, knightly prestige. Let's go pain compliance. It's only 1 point, so it doesn't really matter. Jaden, you got your black dragon. You're gonna stay on said black dragon. Let's get you evasion. Ravager rewards is everybody here, I guess so. Evasion it is. Alright, get Ward of Hakardi in case you miscast, but it probably doesn't matter. Marathi, you are moving in as well, and you cannot... Oh, actually, you can move in Druki First Strike. Oh, well, isn't that lovely? And that's what we want to do against the Wood Elves, after all. Now, you have Raid Leader maxed out. We probably won't be able to ever get up higher here. We're not even level 30, after all. So let's get you something else. We have Blessed by Evil. Magical Reserves wouldn't help us in this fight. You have most of the magics that you want to have. And let's see. Alright, I took out Grotesque Sacrifices and Absolute Devotion in between the episodes because they weren't needed. Just want to make sure Marathi gets one last decent fight. I mean, I guess the Ice Blades would benefit from Line Breaker. Alright, let's get Line Breaker and then just buff them up very, very slightly. And yeah, we could make Marathi a better fighter, but it hardly matters at this point. Assassins, you're fine as you are. I guess you can get Counter Strike, and then you can get... probably Elusive. Make you a little bit tankier, though it's also not super necessary. There we go, Marathi, on to Othiodi and the end of the Bowmen of Orion. Let's see the Doomfire Warlocks in action. If anybody hasn't had enough playtime, it's the Doomfire Warlocks. I've been singing the praises of the Dark Riders throughout the campaign. The Shades are obviously obnoxious, but the Doomfire Warlocks are very nice as well, and I'd like to see them do their thing, though they probably wouldn't be able to take Wild Riders in a one-on-one, especially buffed as they are. 25% ward save. Damn, and some hefty stats. Here we go. Alrighty, here we go. Slanish's favorite Mommy Marathi, or Mom Marathi, I should say, will be getting her final battle by the looks of it. She is far too far away from any enemy or any other enemy to get another battle going, so we're going to have to enjoy this as best we can. I'm going to do my best to try to make this the Doomfire Warlocks show, rather than just the Shades and the Marathi show, which this army has been thus far, so we're definitely going to send those Doomfire Warlocks in shortly. We are, however, going to open up combat by engaging half of the enemy army with our Shades and with our Raven Heralds. The idea is at the very least to knock down these Great Forest Eagles, maybe the Tree Men as well, things that the Doomfire Warlocks really can't deal with because, well, you know, they're pretty fragile after all, and we don't have the extra 10% ward save buff that we would get from their tech, unfortunately. Though, to be fair, we're not using a lot of them, so that should hardly be surprising as well. Anyway, these Doomfire Warlocks are waiting to hit these guys in the flanks, and these ones are going to ride through the rest of our Shades and attack them. Marathi's going to get at least a few spells rather off. There's a bit of Shades coming down, but, well, we'll allow the Shades to do a little bit of work, and then we'll send the Doomfires. In fact, I can see them getting ready to move in the background. Looks like the enemy just lost a bunch of those Wild Riders with shields to range fire, and I'm hoping once again to keep the enemy off our backs. The rest of the Doomfire Warlocks are moving in. And it's time for them to do their thing. Here we go, and ooh, and I know I said this at the start of the battle, but Wild Riders versus Doomfire Warlocks is not going to end well for said Doomfire Warlocks. They are just too fragile, and ooh, wow, look at that. They got debuffed, well, we also counter the enemy and debuff them, but, well, we'll see. Oh, maybe I was looking at somebody else. I guess it doesn't really matter. Actually, yes, wait, these guys did get debuffed. 36 melee attack and 0 melee defense. They have no chance against these guys, but that's okay. It's only a single unit. We'll leave them here just to allow them a little bit of a duel, as otherwise we wouldn't get the chance to. Whereas the rest of them are going to go through the enemy army. Doom bolts come down that are bound to the Doomfire Warlocks. The enemy range units, of course, stand no chance against them, and then the other 3 Doomfire Warlocks are running around in the enemy's back line, ripping apart Glade Guard and whatnot. They're also basically keeping permanent uptime on the Soul Blight debuff, since we just have so many Doomfire Warlocks that they're free to just cast it constantly. Very nice, and at the very least in the back line, these guys are wreaking absolute havoc on the enemy. We're not really using our shades much anymore, and nor the ice blades. I guess, though I suppose I probably could have sent the ice blades to do a little bit more damage. Another Doombolt comes down on those Eternal Guard, and they're debuffed by Word of Pain as well, while Marathi leads the Doomfire Warlocks to their win. These guys got very badly damaged here by the Wild Riders, and we're just going to send the reinforcements to make sure that they don't get chased down. That's the only reason I sent in those units. Don't want Doomfire Warlocks dying just because I wanted to see a duel, even though I suppose it wouldn't matter if they did really, because we won't be needing them again. Alright. Well, you gotta love mobility. They may be relatively a light cab, but they are tier 3 units with bound spells, and they do hit pretty darn hard. Plus, they got magical attacks and lethal poison on top of it. Also, I do imagine that at least some of them will have racked up a very significant amount of damage. 66 kills, etc., but either way, the battle is over. Marathi's mostly Doomfire Warlocks have carried the day. Although I guess we gotta give Jaden at least a little bit of credit for bailing out the one Doomfire Warlock unit that was nearly destroyed. Anyway, take a few more seconds to chase them down. I would rather them all be destroyed so we didn't have to chase the army around after, but I do think at least a couple of the Wild Riders units escaped. They are just far too fast for us to catch. Anyway, decisive victory for Marathi one last time. Alrighty, very nice indeed. We got a little bit of work out of the shades, but this was absolutely the Doomfire Warlocks show, and I think we did a fairly decent job letting them do their thing. Though, of course, the shades also did a decent amount of damage, and at least the first portion of the enemy army. Marathi got a decent amount of kills herself, 54k damage, dueled the enemy lord to some degree, and killed a bunch of units. I think the only Doomfire Warlock that got very badly hurt and took a ton of damage and barely did anything was one that dueled this unit of Wild Riders. As I said at the start, they would have no chance facing off against them, and clearly they didn't. But at the very least, against all of the Deepwood Scouts and Glade Guard and whatnot, they ripped them apart with no trouble at all. Plus, I like the aspect of having them drop Soul Blight essentially on the entire army non-stop throughout the battle. It's like the enemy army was fighting when you have sufficient Doomfire Warlocks the entire battle under Soul Blight, which is always nice to have. Anyway, enslave those guys. You're gonna run, and oh, you're gonna run far enough so that we can't destroy you this turn. But it's okay. You'll be dead next turn anyway. There's nothing you can do about this. Alright, you guys just stay here, I guess. Neither of you are also hurt enough for us to be concerned about any of that. You are hurt, and in fact, wait, march stance and try to return back into the influence of the Black Arcs, wherein maybe you'll be able to heal a little bit faster. Not that I think we really need it. Alright, there we go. You're in the influence now, and that's a little bit better healing. And if that Black Ark has the right recruitment, you could even get your units back. I don't believe these guys will respawn, so it won't matter that much anyway. Anyway, with that, we are out of time. Heck of a long episode. 4 big ol' battles for us, and 2 of the Wood Elf factions by and large destroyed. Next episode, we'll start off with starting our attack on Lorelorn, and possibly on the Griffin Wood as well, and there's 2 armies standing together here, so we should definitely take advantage of that with a big battle from Crone Hellebron. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.